I recently hosted a community event on my Discord. 12 participants flying attack, medium, and heavy lift helicopters, and 1A-10 acting as an unmanned platform, executed an early morning air assault. Hope you enjoy.
Roger, Bandcam. This is Anzac 173. You are cleared on 1 Kilo 2 Alpha on these two individuals, CID.
That was quite a bit of fire there.
Alright, so first page of the brief. So H hour 0530. So it is going to be dark as soon as the server is up, but by the time everyone's taken off, the sun will be up. So it's basically right before sunrise. Alright, so situation, insurgent forces, so small arms fire, manpad threat is low, potential RPGs. Winds are out of the northwest, they're light, and few clouds at 12,000. So mission, we're just inserting some friendly ground forces onto LZ Hawk. It's a suspected ID factory in the town of that one. So Lift 1's going to bring in the assault and security force. They're going to establish security, and then the EOD and partner forces will be brought in on Lift 2. SWT UAS going to observe the LZ, report cherry ice prior to Lift 1's arrival, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. If we do get the cherry call, Lift 1, just orbit, hopefully you'll be east of the release point since it's only about a minute out. And then Lift 2, just orbit wherever you're at, so we'll just kind of see how that plays out. Abort call will be based on the SWT mission commander's recommendation, which will probably be denied because we're doing it. Cherry ice, so for those who don't know what that means, that's just the criteria that the LZ is good to land in. So ice means, everything's good. Cherry is a certain criteria. So in this case, if there's 5 or greater than 5 enemy personnel and or a crew served weapon that can affect the LZ. So it doesn't have to be on the LZ, it just needs to be in a location that can affect the landing and the dismount of troops. So that's what the SWT and the UAS should be working for us. Once upon infill, SWT, you're going to remain on station and pick up orbits, work with the ground force commander. So for this, guys, there'll be a notional troops. I didn't script in anything, so we're just kind of going through the motions of dropping off aircraft and everything, or dropping off troops and flying the aircraft. After that, aircraft will return to base, and we'll talk about it there. All right, next slide. Page 2 should have the overlay of the routes. So you've got Route Sparrow, which is the lift route, and Route Blue Jay for the SWT. You can see pretty close. Objective, about 10 miles or so. Which is completely realistic, particularly in a coined environment. I've done air assaults that were still within the traffic pattern of the airfield, so this is totally real in scope. You can see pretty quick flights, and we'll go more in depth on the routes, but roughly a 10-minute flight for the lift guys. All right, slide 3. So cruise and comms. So I know we're still waiting on Disco, so we'll talk about it at the end if we need to do any swaps. But right now, 10-man flight is 2-1, 2-2, 2-3, and 2-4. So Disco, Zeb, Jabberwocky, and Tecumseh. Hatchet flight, there's a slight change there as well. So we've got 4 aircraft, which Vazul will be Chalk 4, Hatchet 2-4. And then Cougar flight is Brundus and refill. Just take a look at your comms. If I could preload your comms, I did, but I know some aircraft you can and you can't, so just, that's what we're going to spend the first couple minutes, just making sure our comms are straight. Abbas Tower is going to be on 124.nothing, and the CAN, which is the Common Air Net, which is what all the teams should be talking on to coordinate, is going to be 240, and then also Chicken is our UAS guy. He's going to be up that as well. All right. So for the CAN, you really need to have at least one guy up of that per flight. And then for contacting Abbas Tower, just call it a reposition or departure. Okay, next page 4. So I won't get too deep into this. I fully expect these times will change, but just to give some idea, like I said, the server should start at 05. About 10 minutes later, SWT should be taken off. 10 minutes after that, Lift 1, and about 9 minutes after that, Lift 2. So airspeeds that are planned at is 80 knots for the UH, 200 kilometers per hour for the Mi-8s. And I honestly don't care about the SWT, whatever airspeed is, it works to get you there. You can see the airspace deconfliction. So for the lift guys, stay below 500. SWT 800 to 2000, and then UAS you've got everything above 10. Just keep in mind the clouds at 12. Any questions on this, the timing, any of that? Okay. All right, slide 5. So here's just some blow-ups of the target. So we've got the target house, which is at factory. Expect roughly 5 to 7 personnel. Some could be inside, some could be outside. They also expect it to be rigged, so that's why EOD's coming in with the second lift. And SWT, you're authorized to engage, but really I want that to be to, if it's cherry. So if there are a few guys, we still want kind of the element of surprise as much as possible. If we start engaging them and slowing down the assault, that's going to kind of mess everything up. So just engage if you feel that you absolutely have to. All right, next slide, slide 6. So this is a blow up of the airfield. So north is to the left. I forgot to put. Okay. You can see north ramp is where the SWT and the UH guys will be starting out, and then the MIs are down at south ramp. So for the gas, you guys can just call for present position departure, and then for the UH and MI guys, just reposition to the runway 03 Lima for your PZ and lineup, and you take off from there. All right, next slide is 7. So this one's kind of weird, but just it's kind of a tight turn. So if you need to kind of push out to the right upon takeoff to make this turn a little bit easier. But at the end of one of the taxiways at the end of the runway, there's a kind of hammerhead parking thing there. That'll be your start point for your routes. So you can see there the UHs, we've got it broken down by time, so the MIs are going to catch up a little bit there. All right, next slide is slide 8. So again, I think most of you guys have already seen this. Your headings, your distance, your time to ACP1, it's pretty easy to spot. I think there's some high ground along the route, but you should find that spot pretty easily, and then just make a west turn. Next slide, 9, and you can see there it'll just take you straight into the LZ. Now the release point's kind of funky. The wires, so the release point's actually past the wires. The first time I planned it out, I didn't see the wires, so that's why I put the release point there, but then I flew it and saw the wires. So once you pass over that, that's basically the release point. You'll see kind of that farmland off to your right. All right, next slide on 10. So that's a blow up of LZ Hawk and the target house. You can see on the bottom right, that's pretty much what view you should start seeing once you pass the RP. Obviously, it to be a little bit darker. Target house will be on the left, and then that top picture you can see the target house, and roughly 150, 200 meters from the LZ. So once you get down, just do a 30 count to simulate the dismount of your troops, and then we'll do what the lift guys like to call tow Rico, so take off when ready in shock order. So that means as soon as you touch down, count to 30, and if you're number 1, take off. If you're number 2 and you've already reached 30 and number 1 hasn't taken off, then you wait for number 1 to take off, and then you take off after him. And then make a left turn, heading 120 back to the fob. All right, next slide, slide 11. So that's just a blow up of the route for the SWT. So route Blue Jay, you're just basically going to take off, hit that hammerhead, and go due west into that ACP, that little town. Then that'll cut you straight up into the objective. All right, slide 12, back to the airfield. So once you make your return, just set up for entry for 03 left. And again, MIs back to south ramp. Gaz UH back to north ramp. All right, last slide, contingencies. So if there's a crash en route, just continue mission. If we need to do an extraction, that'll be called over the CAN. But just the priority is get the troops on the ground, and then we can adjust. If there's an aircraft down on the LZ, ground forces will secure, but continue mission. So the only trick here is if there is an aircraft down, and if it kind of fouls up the LZ, then lift 2, you might need to come in and stagger your approaches. So maybe 2 aircraft come in, then take off, and the next 2 come in. So we'll just kind of have to work that on the fly. And then for any gameism, so obviously if you got lag and you're in a formation, that's problematic. Just hold what you got. If you lag out, just you can rejoin as an observer, but it's probably too late to catch up. So SRS comms, that's probably gonna be the hardest part, is just getting everyone on the right comm. So take your time, do not rush, do not worry about the timeline. It's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be a stressful event. So once you get in, just get your aircraft set up the way you want it, but focus on the comms first. So get your radios tuned up to the right freaks, start making comm checks with your flight, and then flight leads or whoever's going to be the guy for your flight. Just check in with the can and check in with Saber Main, which will be me. Um, I'll also play ATC for Avast Tower on 124, so just call me for taxi and takeoff. Again, don't worry if you're not a real pilot and you don't know how to do pilot radio calls. Just tell me what you want and we'll work it out. It's not a big deal. Lastly, I am recording, so avoid too much crazy language. Um, and if you're filming and want to contribute, just let me know and I'll happily integrate it into the video. So, any questions on all that?
Couple. Going back to, let's see, slide 10. So just coordination wise. So we have UAS on station. He's going to be up before all of us get there. UAS is going to be on station.
Yeah, so I forgot to mention that. So, Chicken, I figured it was easier, honestly, to just start the aircraft in the air. That way you don't have to mess around with taxiing out and everything.
Perfect.
Yeah, so you're pretty high. I think I put it in at like 10,000. So you got some time to recover if you're in a nosedive, but you should be starting off to the east by about I want to say it was about 20 or so miles. So I think by the time everyone's unscrewed themselves, you'll definitely be overhead and do what you need to. And if you're not, again, it's just a call and we roll the time.
Yeah, take your
But yeah.
time because I think I'm gonna have to unfuck my radios anyway.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that. I don't think, and you can't preset the radios either. So, but yeah, good point. Again, with the
So
comms,
what I was
guys.
going to get at was I'll call
Mhm.
scout weapons team off and cross the wire 10 minutes out or whatever.
Mhm.
We'll get I guess a preliminary cherry ice call from Chicken, and
Yeah.
then we'll get the go no go cherry ice once the SWT gets on station. Looking at the graphic on page 10, what direction do you guys? So are you going to be landing to the west?
The intent is to land to the west. So you
Okay.
should be coming straight in and landing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So expect us to be. We'll deconflict with altitude, so we'll be at our assigned altitudes above 1,000 feet, and we'll be to the north and to the east, looking into the objective area. So we'll deconflict that way. And then are you going to be egressing over the, taking off to the west and then turning southbound? Or taking off south over the built up area there and then going back to the east?
So if you look at the bottom picture, basically they should just be taken straight off, roughly the same heading, and then turning left, kind of where that open area is past the town, and just circle around the town, head back, and just pick up 120 back to the airfield.
So we'll stay off to the north and
Yeah,
to
they
the
shouldn't go any
east.
further north.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Now, one thing we probably need to talk about, just in case, and this may change what you're talking about, but if there's a go around, so if you're Chalk 3 and you're not, you're going to miss the touchdown point or you're going to run into another aircraft, then you probably need to do a go around. I would recommend the go around be to the north. So you just continue past the LZ, make a right turn, and circle back around and come back into the LZ. But I still don't think that's going to affect the SWT because you're not going to make a huge B-52 traffic pattern, and SWT is probably going to be far enough back and high enough back that's not an issue.
We should just be in a hover anyway. We wouldn't be moving.
Yeah, I mean whatever you guys do, but yeah, I think the altitude deconfliction will be fine on that. So, okay, any other questions?
You said Saber Main was going to be on 140?
No, 240. So the can and Saber main is all the same on 240. And then the only other frequency you need is the 124 for the airfield, and then the team freaks, which is 30, 40, and 50. And that was slide 3, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
So Cougar flight, which is the SWT, will be 30. 10 man is the UH. They'll be on 40, and Hatchet's 50. Okay. Did Disco make it in? No. All right. So
Yeah, is my
the-
wingman here? Refill?
yeah, I think so.
I think I
And
have the
for-
wrong PDF.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there he is. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, if the PDF is not matching what I've been saying, you're probably looking at the older one. I pushed out one just to give guys a read ahead, but the new one was posted I think yesterday, but I think I pinned it, so but those freaks probably changed. So 240 is the can, 124 is ATC. All right, well then let's do an audible for changing things. So Gadget, you're gonna take 10 man 2-1.
How confident, Seb?
Okay. So you're gonna lead the UH flight. So we'll have 4 UHs, and now we're back to 3 MIs. So Bigfoot.
Did Seb want to leave?
No, sir, I'm not a pilot.
Okay.
I'll tell you what. We'll just put Vazul into Hatchet 2-2. So it'll be Bigfoot, Vazul, and Dutch.
10 man, 2-1, Saber main. Saber, 10 man, 2-1 on 240. Roger, what's your status? We Redcon 1, ready to line up and depart. Okay, roger. Break, Hatchet 3-1, Saber main, 240.
Saber main Cougar 1-1 in flight. Redcon 1, understand you're still trying to establish comms with Hatchet. You want us to delay?
Affirm, standby. Tower, 10 man, 2-1. 10 man, 2-1, about tower, go ahead. 10 man flight is 4 Hueys, ready for taxi, clearance, and reposition. Course 03 left, to the west. 10 man, about tower, winds 320 at 4, clear reposition to runway 03 left.
Was that Cougar?
Yeah, Cougar 1, position 2 on flight.
Yeah, go ahead.
Saber main is the Hatchet flight, lined up 03 runway. Roger. Alright, break, all stations, understand. Cougar is Redcon 1, 10 man is down 1 aircraft for restart, and Hatchet flight is lined up and ready, break. Cougar flight, you are cleared to depart.
Roger, contacting ATC. Banner Boss Tower, Cougar 1-1 flight north ramp with Delta ready for takeoff, VFR present position, departure to the west.
Cougar 1-1 about tower, winds 320 at 4, present position departure approved, remain above runway 03 left and call clear to the west.
Cougar 1-1 flight, we'll go, on the go. Chicken 6-9-1-1 is approximately 2 minutes out.
10 man 2-2 is Redcon 1.
Cougar, Chicken 6-9 copies all. The 4 personnel at the target building are armed with rifles.
Okay, understand you got 4 personnel at the target building. We're approximately 1 mile to the east. We'll stand off about a mile and a half.
Ten man 2-1, Saber main, you're clear for departure. 2 man 2-1, clear for departure, 03 left. Okay, ready to lift. Torch.
Main, Cougar 1-1, flight on station. Understand Chicken is reporting 4 personnel in the objective area currently. We're not observing yet. We're about holding to the north and east about 1 mile.
Same remain, Rob.
Same remain, Cougar 1-1, flight on station. Understand Chicken is reporting 4 personnel in the objective area currently. We're not observing yet. We're about holding to the north and east about 1 mile.
Same remain, Rob.
Chicken 6-9, Cougar 1-1 on can. Any change to the Cherry Eye?
Hatchet flight to Saber Main, departing runway 03.
Cougar from Chicken 6-9, negative LZ ice at this time.
Roger.
Hatchet 3-1, Abbas Tower, winds 320 at 4, clear for departure 03 right, with a left turn out to the west.
Hatchet 3-1, copy. 10-man, Cougar 1-1.
Chicken 1-1, 10-man.
Roger, we are established in a hold to the north of the objective. Confirm you copied ice from Chicken.
Copy ice, 10-man flight is being ACP1 at this point.
Roger that. Saber Main, Cougar 1-1. Understand we're going to be at least another 10 minutes for Serial 2. Chicken 6-9, Cougar 1-1 on can. Any change to the Cherry Ice?
Cougar, Chicken 6-9, negative LZ ice at this time.
Alright, I'm going to do a security circle. I'm going to head to the west of the town. I'm going to stay over the open area that's to the west of the town where the objective area is and just kind of take a look in there.
Copy, following.
Oh, taking fire.
I got Mike.
Breaking right. Okay, it came from, I don't know if you can see the tracers. It came from just off the objective area to the west.
Yeah, I didn't see him till they were in the air.
Roger that.
Close in on your 6.
Okay, I'm going to go in. Roger that. I'm going to go in and just put some suppression in on that area.
Copy, following, supporting.
10-man flight Cougar 1-1. We just pushed in about 500 meters, took some fire from just to the west of the objective area. We're going to land some suppression about 300 meters into the west of the objective area.
Rockets or guns? Gun, make it run.
10-man, 2-1, Saber Main.
2-man, 2-1.
Roger, I understand you guys are holding east of the RP.
Aye,
Roger, break, hatchet flight, Saber Main, need you to hold current look position, right orbit still cleared.
Okay, I understand. Still 4 personnel. We didn't receive any fire on the last run, so I'm going to go ahead and call it ice, break, hatchet flight. You're cleared to come in. Be advised, we did take fire. There are personnel in the area, so expect a hot LZ. 10-man, how do you read?
10-man, loud and clean.
Okay, your ice. Be advised, on the last run we did not take any fire. Chicken still observes 4 personnel in the vicinity of the objective area. We're calling it ice for now, but expect a hot LZ
we'll be in position to suppress if required.
Roger, switching to Fox Mike, so it might be delayed in responding. Okay, guys, going to start slowing down.
I think I called for Hatchet. I was calling for you guys to command. So I got you in sight approximately 1 minute out.
70. And descent. Slowing down to 60. We're a little bit steep. The LZ's right on our nose. We're going to put it to the far end of the LZ, so as soon as you can get past that tree line and you're clear, give us a hoy. There's 50. We're still a little bit steep in the descent, but we'll keep it going so we're not running in. Nosing up, 50. Slowing. There's 40.
Cougar, check in. Personnel are moving to the
Resting the descent a little bit, we're taking fire.
Taking fire.
Checking Cougar, copy.
Weapons free, mate. Aiming for the far end. 25 and flare.
10 man.
Start the count.
Cougar, observe you. Taking fire unless that was your door gunner.
There's 10 seconds.
Hatchet plug.
15. 20. 25. 30 lead lifting.
Cougar, check in. Looks like all personnel are KIA or suppressed.
Roger that.
2 men flight.
10 man 2-2. 30 seconds. Lift off. Right door's gunner is firing. 10 man 2-1.
10 man 2-4 lifting.
Raised up.
Okay, heading 1 channel, 60 knots. 10 men's clear.
Hatchet flight, Cougar 1-1 on you.
So let me know when you settle.
10 man 2-2 is convoy.
10 men's clear.
Hatchet flight, Cougar 1-1 on uniform. Say remain Cougar 1-1. Roger, what's the status right now? Roger, looks like Hatchet flight is just down, got 3 MIs down and safe in the LZ. Saber, roger.
Tower, this is 10 man 2-1.
10-man 2-1 about tower.
10-man 2-1, flight of 4 Hueys, 3 miles, inbound for left base 03, left.
10-man about tower inside. Winds 3204, clear land, runway 03 left, after landing, taxi to north parking.
So 10-man clear land 03 left, taxi north.
Hatchet flight number 2, clear to land, runway 03 left, after landing, taxi to parking. Winds 3204. Hatchet flight, copy. Boss Tower, Cougar 1 flight.
Okay, hold just
Cougar, Boss Tower.
until we're over these skid marks and then we'll start easing
flight
off
of
here.
2, approximately 3 miles to the west, range of information inbound for the north ramp. Cougar, Boss Tower, winds 3204, runway 03 left in use. Currently 3 MI8 holding south of the runway.
Okay, shuttle stand.
It'll be number 2, stand by. Traffic in sight.
Sabre 10-man 2-1, 10-man flight, all parked at Norton Parking and shutting down.
10-man, Sabre, understand, mission complete.
All right, cool. So hey, I thought that went pretty well. We'll just kind of go down some events that I kind of jotted down. So obviously, commo was a huge issue, which anticipated, and that's real life too.
Yep, it always is.
Yeah, Hatchet seemed to have the most trouble, but I think part of that maybe is the MI8. I don't know. I think there's
I
some
don't think
weirdness
it
to
was.
Okay.
It
I'll
wasn't
give it an
until no, it wasn't until the last third that sorry, this chicken that I tried rolling up Victor 50, and I was able to hear Hatchet from the A10. So
Yeah, I think I heard them fine on their internal, but I think getting out on UHF and VHF seemed to be a problem. So who was lead? Bigfoot?
Yeah, Bigfoot.
So what, I mean, from your perspective, what was there was it a radio issue? Like I imagine the MI8 radios are kind of weird, like the K50.
Switching back and forth on the selector was difficult.
Okay.
I think that's why we had a lot of lag in communicating from 50 to
Sure.
240. But we had one helicopter with a mic issue at first. And then I just need to work on comms, like what to say and stuff like that.
yeah, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that like it wasn't an issue. I meant more like I probably could have jumped in earlier to do radio relay if we had to.
Yeah, no, I figured it was some sort of, like, I knew it wasn't an SRS issue, so I figured it was probably some sort of aircraft specific.
Yeah, they have that
issue.
selector wheel, and it's real weird.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so commo took a while, and that again is pretty standard. And then Hatchet took the, so you guys got on the wrong runway, but that's okay. But I think you guys probably thought left was a taxiway, but there's 2 runways. But that's all right. You guys moved out, and so did 10-man. Got into position, SWT, present position departure. They got out there pretty well. So it sounds like Chicken got overhead and got eyes on the target house pretty quick.
Yeah. From my perspective, he was already on station when we checked in with him, and he gave a preliminary sit rep. So we kind of knew what we were getting into. And then once we got about 2-3 miles out, we, started our orbits. And so I'll just talk our piece of it real quick. So what I didn't brief was how we were going to fly as a scout weapons team and take up our positions to observe the area. So coming from Phil, you probably do a lot of high intensity conflict stuff in DCS.
Yeah.
And you mentioned we were up at 800, 1,000 feet, which you wouldn't be when you're, going up against SAMs and whatnot. But so in my mind, we were doing kind of a coin scenario, and I was just replicating that. So we would never really you never ever hover. You're always, kind of at your bucket speed, which is your most efficient speed. So when you get on station, you're looking to conserve fuel, and hovering is one of your most fuel inefficient methods of remaining on station. So we would just kind of go to 50 to 60 knots and just do lazy circles and kind of stay out of audible range. Now we're full on daytime, so clearly they would know we were there, but gamism, you wouldn't run a mission like this probably in the day. But so that's why I didn't want to come to a hover. So I was just trying to replicate that sort of air assault for an HVT hit in a target building in a coin scenario. So we just
Yeah.
picked up lazy circles to the north and east, and ran it from there.
What we do, because we only one guy, if you get in the hover 4 or 5 clicks out, then you can observe it from the gunner's seat and see what's going on. But I see what you're saying about real world and doing the wagon wheel with two people in there, one's looking, the other guy's just basically flying and looking every now and again.
Yeah.
And just for security purposes, like in a environment like that where you don't, it's all unfriendly. Like there's no line of troops to be behind, to be over safe ground, so to speak. So you wouldn't necessarily ever really come to a hover for more than just a few seconds because everybody is unfriendly out there. So if you situate yourself, for like a minute in a hover, some jackass with an AK-47 is going to decide to take a pot shot at you. Whether they're actually insurgents or not, likelihood is they're like, oh, there's a helicopter. They're just going to, everybody has an AK, and, if you present yourself like that, they're going to shoot at you.
And honestly, that's why I put those other guys out there. So I wanted to see, how the maneuver would be. So those other guys that shot at you were completely unrelated to the target. They were, I think, 500-600 meters away.
Okay.
They were just kind of out there to the north, because I assumed that you would set up to the north based on the angles and everything. So there was just two guys and an RPG guy, so 3 guys total. There's no way you would have unless you just happened to look down, you would have seen them.
Man, I thought I did my due diligence. Like I was scanning around the building too, and like he said he started taking fire, and I was like, no way.
No. But that really goes to his point that there is nothing safe out there. You don't know who's down below you, and honestly, the guys on the ground, it's the opposite too, right? So guys on the ground don't necessarily know that you're looking at them. I'm surprised from my own experience how many times dudes are doing very bad things where I know they can see me, but they have no concept that I'm looking at them from 2, 3, 4 miles away. So there's some safety and distance when it comes to giving away things. Now, I think if you guys, and I think people too gravitate towards if they're circling something, well, then that must be what they're looking at. So I think as long as you're not circling the actual LZ, they probably don't think about it. They're like, oh, there's some helicopters, which in a coin environment, they're used to seeing helicopters. Like there's always helicopters. So, but that's why those guys were there. So so you guys picked up orbits to the north, a couple Ks, and that's exactly what I kind of wanted to happen. It kind of derailed things a little bit just because there was confusion, and that's natural. So Gadget, you guys were approaching, I think you were approaching the RP when all that happened.
Yeah. So when you guys started calling fire, I thought, we won't go in, and I called the orbit just east of the power lines and waited for a go.
Okay. Yep. And I mean that's probably the sensible thing to do at that point, because no one really knows what's happening. There's no point in pushing a bad situation. So Hatchet also, I couldn't see them from where I was, but pretty sure they picked up an orbit as well. It's hard when you're kind of in the go and you're ready to do that short final, and then somebody says, hey, wait a minute, stop. So it's pretty stressful to try to maintain your formation. But from what I could tell, it looked like the Hueys, I think there was a little lag issue. Like one guy pitched straight up and went to the moon, but I'm pretty sure that was a game thing. I think Chalk 3 just kind of shot up into the sky. But yeah, so you guys orbited a few times, and then the SWT went in and put some rockets down. I wasn't really in a good position to watch that. I saw the rockets go in, but I couldn't tell where they were landing. None of those guys died from that, so but you did suppress them because they weren't shooting.
So
back.
Honestly, I thought that the fire was coming from within the built-up area. So what you're saying is they were kind of out in the field?
No. It was in a built-up area. So.
Oh, okay.
Remember where the MI8s landed?
Yeah.
The guys were due west of that on the edge of the built-up area.
Yeah, that's exactly where it was. Okay.
Yeah, I think you shot pretty close to him. You just didn't hit him. I mean,
Yeah, I never saw him. I
yeah,
just put rounds in where I saw the fire coming from.
yeah, and I think they didn't shoot anymore after that. But I zoomed down there. I mean, you'll see it in the video, but yeah, they were there watching you. Okay, and then once we kind of figured out that the LZ was still within criteria, I think you made the claim like, hey, it's ice, but it's gonna be hot, which I understood what you meant exactly right. Like, hey, you're technically clear, but you will definitely get shot at, or you will be shooting at somebody. So
Yeah, I saw rifles, but they didn't meet the 5 threshold. So
right. Yeah, almost by design, right? So I wanted it to go off. I didn't want to just film a bunch of guys flying idiot circles while Brundis shot rockets at them harmlessly. So we got the clearance to bring the Hueys in. They came in. It was pretty good landing actually. I thought Chalk 2 was about to hit the wires, but he pulled it out. It was 2 or 3, I can't remember. But it was pretty good. Door gunners opened up. Let's see, Gadget took a lot of fire in the beginning. He got pretty lit up. I thought he was going to lose it, but his door gunner opened up and killed, I think, all the bad guys.
yeah, in like 5 seconds.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then everybody landed pretty good, did our short count, got everybody out. Takeoff were good. So Hatchet, you guys kind of went off the reservation a little bit. I don't know if you got lost or what.
We were doing good until the orbit,
Yeah.
the ice, and then we got back on track, and we were a little bit off course to the left. We had to approach the LZ from the south instead of the west.
Yeah, so you guys took off and you were southeast of the LZ, which I was concerned because they were taking off and basically turning into you. And I think everybody saw each other, so it kind of worked itself out. But yeah, you guys were a little bit south, came around. So you landed slightly off the LZ. Was that on purpose or was that just misidentification?
Misidentification.
Okay. In my mind, I was like, well, technically, I may not want to land in the same LZ because they just took a lot of fire. I wasn't sure and I didn't want to ask just at the time. It was so busy. But you guys found a spot. It was a little further away. I think another probably 400 or 500 meters.
So how did you guys once you realized you may have been misdirected, so to speak? How did you figure out what you were going to do? Like, I never heard. You guys had radio issues, so I didn't hear any. No traffic on the can or anything. Were you able to make that work on? Were you talking to each other at all?
Yes, Dutch noticed that the landing zone was to the right. He said it was at 3 o'clock, so we turned in at that point. And then I thought that was the main. We flew over the house that was the target, and I thought we were landing in that first landing zone field, but I was wrong about that one.
Okay. Yeah, it's just a little off.
So all your Fox mics were working. So all that was. I'm just curious on how this plays out in DCS.
Yeah, our Fox mic was working, and we were talking to each other.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, all's well that ends well. They got a LZ that's spotted. They put in there. Chalk 2 was popping flares a lot on the ground, which
yeah, that was to indicate to mine number 3,
yeah,
where we were.
Yeah. Dutch
okay, you're doing that on purpose. Okay, that's cool. I watched an SAS guy get hit in the ass with a flare one time when he was getting out of a Blackhawk, so I always think about that when I see flares on the ground. But okay, but you were using that to mark because yeah, Chalk 3 was kind of a little bit far behind. Okay, so landed, kicked out of troops, and then took off, no issues, returned to base. Only thing I would say for the MIs, you guys probably pulled it into high gear to get home, and of course you're flying faster, and you kind of beat the Hueys home, and that created a little bit of a log jam, and that's realistic too. That's why the timing is really important on these types of missions for use of the FARP, because generally the FARP is not going to be able to handle everybody at once. Use of the runway or whatever the LZ that we're going to, so timing is important. So we got a little confusion there, but it worked itself out.
Yeah, copy that with the MI8s. Yeah, I thought we had all agreed to stick around about 150 kph. That way we could all stay together tight and get back to base at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with the excitement of everything going on, sometimes I do it all the time. Like I'll look down, I'm like, oh crap, I'm going way faster than I'm supposed to be. So, yeah, no, it was fine. So I think honestly, it looked pretty cool. It seemed to go pretty well. I don't know if anyone had a good time.
Yes, it was very enjoyable.
Oh yeah,
It's a blast.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, awesome.
I have to say, I got juiced a little bit when I saw the fire. I was like, oh shit! Like it felt
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, I
This
could hear
is fun.
I could hear it in your voice. You got a little excited. All right. Any other comments, issues? Okay.
Great
Well, no,
time. I think it's cool. So looking forward to the next one we do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that was a
same.
lot of fun. I think there was just enough excitement to make it, interesting, but it wasn't like a crazy mission and nothing wild happened. So, all right, well, I appreciate everyone contributing. I had a good time. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Thanks for putting it on.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Look
All right.
forward to the next one.
Yeah. So if you guys got ideas for the next one, let me know. I mean, it'll probably be a couple weeks. I'm getting ready to move here, Lord willing, in the next 2 weeks, but we'll do something here pretty soon.
You could get us all on the Cargo beta team. That'd be good.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Well, I am out of here. Unless anybody's got anything else.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yep,
guys.
thank you.
See ya. I want to thank the guys in my Discord for contributing to this video. If you haven't already, follow the link below and join the low-level hell, where helicopter pilots from around the world and DCS players chat, and in some cases get some games going. A special thanks to Barundas for helping me playtest the mission, and to Chicken and Jabberwocky for adding their own audio and video support. If you haven't already, hit the like button and subscribe. Also, share my channel if you have any friends interested in helicopter operations within DCS. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care.